This is episode 22 of We Could Be Wrong, the Vincent Adult Men of Podcasts. I'm Eli. Joining me today is Bret.
Hi. Oh man, I had something.
Also joining me today is Christina.
Hi.
Oh, cool. Now, let's talk about anime.
I saw a trailer for something called Gundam Orphan Blood or something like that.
Oh god.
And it was basically like...
Oh, you found my fanfiction.
If you've ever watched or played the video game Red Faction Guerrilla, it was like almost 1-to-1 the plot of Red Faction Guerrilla, with then like the chosen one who shall pilot this magical mech, and then he does that one line that's like the fucking generic action movie line where someone's like, "Get out of the, you think you can beat me in that fucking beat up stupid looking mech?" And then the kid's like, "Just watch me!" And then it's like, oh, okay, I can... Oh, yeah, that I've seen that one before.
Wait, is that the one...
Did he follow that up with just watch me whip and watch me nene?
Christina, you saw this trailer with me. You're not allowed to fucking say
No,
shit,
no,
right?
No. Like, I was wondering if that was the trailer you're talking about.
Yeah,
the one that where the kid looked like he was like a grunged up version of Simone from Gurren Lagann.
Yep. And like really lanky, and like I hate like those kind of fucking cliches in anime where it's like, oh my god, I hate that cliche. It's like, you're too weak to beat me. You don't understand. I'm the main character. Yeah, and it's like, oh man, I forgot he's the main character. Well, we're all doomed.
Ever since I was a little boy, I realized that I was the main character of my story. What if there was an anime? What if there was an anime where? What if there was an anime where all the characters were main characters?
Can someone do a remix where it's like, what if there was a?
What if you're a side character of somebody else's story, and that's your whole life?
What if you're just an NPC?
There's like some Tumblr joke that I always see going around, which is like at the delivery room where like the kid pops out and they have like purple hair and like a birthmark in the shape of like a sword or something, and the mother just starts crying and she's like, she's a main character.
I think I vaguely remember this.
And then like, oh man, that would be funny. Like I always joke about that like joke script that Red Letter Media made up, which is this guy trying to escape from a student art house film. And, like, what if it was, like, an anime character trying to escape from the idea of being a main character?
That would be... I would watch that anime.
Like, they're walking home from school one night, and then, like, a light beam comes from the moon, and then, like, some fairy queen is like, you are to come with me to my land to save my people. And they've already, like, walked away, and they're not even, like, paying attention.
Every time he wakes up, there's always a toast in his mouth. It's like, damn it, I hate this.
God, he always oh no, because everyone does that joke now, where it's like you trip and you're like, gotta make sure I don't touch the boobs, and it's like now everyone does that joke.
It's so cliche that the joke calling out the cliche has become a cliche.
It's cliche-ception. There we go.
But it's like they still do it. Like there was that anime that fucking is being like, even the comedy button did an ad for it about some guy. Like, I've actually looked up some anime because of their anime ads, like Cuticle Detective Inaba.
Brian O'Connell's worst association game.
Just a little bit. It's like Zatch Bell. Fuck you, Zatch Bell's not a real anime.
It is.
Like,
it has the guy. It has the woman who did the voice of Jimmy Neutron as Zatch Bell.
Really? Oh my god.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Well, I love the Zatch Bell. Brain blast. That's all I know.
I thought that was Jimmy Neutron's dad.
No, Jimmy Neutron's dad is not the Zatch Bell. Well, guys, like a pie.
No, I'm saying the voice you're doing for Zatch Bell sounds like Jimmy Neutron's dad. Oh, God. Oh, things only 90 kids understand.
Is that even a 90s cartoon? Was it? Or was it early 2000s?
Was it? Or was it early 2000s?
Yes.
Well, most of those things only 90s kids understand usually have things from, like,
you were saying something before I rudely interrupted you.
So, yeah, this anime that was, like, getting popular, I guess, like, there's a joke in it where the guy trips and he's about to hit some girl's boobs, so he, like, grabs his hand and, like, pulls it close to his chest so he misses her boobs, but then, like, they both trip and her butt goes, like, full plant right in his face. So, it's, like... oh, you tried to do a thing about not touching the boob. That would have been funny if he grabbed his hand, so he's like extending his hand like any person would when they fall, but then he's like, oh shit, anime, and he grabs his hand and pulls it back, and just face plants with his like hands tucked in his chest. But then like, you know, she trips, and he like fucking cushions his fall by landing on her butt. And it's like, you guys just did the thing.
But it's not.
It's like,
but Bret, it's not her boob. It's her butt.
Yeah.
Different.
Or in high school did a similar thing where it's like the joke was they always slept on banana peels.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Man, I need to watch that show again. That was like the best show.
But like, I don't know. It's like it's an issue that like a lot of video game comedy has, where they make fun of a thing. And then they do the thing. Like everyone,
there's gonna be another Fetch Quest, isn't it?
Yeah, or like everyone likes to point out Duke Nukem Forever when someone's like, "Hey Duke, here's your health recharging armor," and he's like, "Health recharging armor is for queers." And then like a second later, he gets health recharging, and it's like, you can't make fun of the thing and then do the thing. Like
maybe he was coming out of the closet.
Yeah,
that could be it.
I like to chew bubblegum and suck penis. I'm all out of penis.
Mom and Dad, there's something I need to tell you. This is Chester. We've known each other for 6 months.
Like, yeah, no, like, the pig men, like, steal all the women. Like, Duke, you gotta help us save all the women. He's like, why? Why do we need them?
It's all prison rules now.
Oh my god, that's way better than anything I was gonna fucking say. Wow, Eli. Fucking teed that up and fucking home run. I was just gonna make some like, we don't need women anymore, but then you're like, nope, just butt fucking everywhere. Welcome to the new wonderful world of Duke Nukem.
Oh, fuck. Oh.
Yeah, oh. Like video game comedy kind of has those two big issues where it's just like, either it makes fun of thing and then does thing, or it makes fun of thing in such a gross and unnecessary fashion.
But it's shocking.
That there's like the scene where it's supposed to be kind of like a knockoff of the scene with is it Dallas who's in the wall in Alien, who's just like, kill me, Ripley, but like they do it with the women who've been kidnapped, but it's just like disturbing.
Wait, which video
and it's
game
like
is
this isn't even
Oh god.
Duke Nukem Forever. Like Duke is trying to
Pokemon
find...
Red.
Because like all the Duke Nukem games were basically just the pigmen of stealing the women, go kill the pigmen, and then it was just a simple plot. But like in the new one, they're like the pigmen stole all the women, and then you find out the pigmen are putting them in these like growth chamber things that are like fusing their bodies into the walls, and like their boobs are being turned into like egg sacs, and it's just like, yeah, you guys went a little too far with this reference. You guys went a little too far with this reference. Yeah.
Ugh.
It's called art, Bret.
Like, look at something like BoJack Horseman, which I know, Eli, you've been watching a lot of lately. But that parodies a lot of the things in, like, the entertainment industry pretty well. And yet it also has a story, whereas, like, anime and video games have a real issue with parody, where they can't parody without just being the thing they parody. And, like, a lot of things, like, I like Kick-Ass. But the issue with Kick-Ass is the first 3/4 of Kick-Ass is a parody of superhero movies, and then the last fourth is a superhero movie.
I think it's like with video games, it's almost it's a little difficult. I remember the one type of video game that was like full on parody was like, I can think of off the top of my head, is Conker's Bad Fur Day, where it opens up like a what was it, a Clockwork Orange reference.
I never really played Conkers.
Yeah, it's like all I know from it is like the Clockwork Orange reference and a giant mountain of feces.
Okay. Well, I think it's like a thing where like they know how to write parody, but they don't know how to then take the writing and turn and like they don't know how to manipulate the game mechanics to fit the parody. If that makes sense.
Comedy is really hard to write for any medium, because you have to...
I totally agree with the idea that the easiest thing to do wrong is comedy. Like, because, like, doing action bad usually is still fun and enjoyable. Doing, I don't know, drama bad can still, again, be fun and enjoyable. But a bad comedy...
Well, kind of.
But a bad comedy is a lame comedy.
It's like... You don't see a lot of those, like, YouTube reviewers. They don't necessarily do reviews on comedy itself, usually, I would say, because what other joke do you have other than, well, that joke doesn't work? It really is painful to see a really bad comedy. It's painful to see, like, a really bad stand-up, or really stand-up that the audience doesn't laugh at. It's, like, one of the most awkward things in the world. When you apply that to something... a bit more solid, like something like a video game or even to anime. It just, wow, it's there forever. That's one thing to remember. It's like that stupid joke is there forever to repeat it on and on for anyone else who wants to watch it or play it. Brett, you were talking about a certain article you were reading?
So, this article's been just went around the internet. A lot of people just coming in and out, like, if they agree with it or not. It's fandom is broken, and we talked about this earlier. We didn't really want to talk about the writer in particular because we don't want to really talk about that. The issue is just with the contents of the article, and my feeling was, I was interested in you guys, is that in my eyes he painted very broad, where it's just like it's kind of like when people say Tumblr's fucking terrible, and here's why Tumblr's terrible, and it's like, well, that's like saying 4chan's terrible. Like, yeah, there's places on 4chan that fucking suck, but for the most part, it's just a bunch of people saying like, look at all my video games, or oh hey guys, look at this video game art I made. It's just like, that's like, for the most part, it's benign, and then you get until it's suddenly not benign, and I feel like the whole fandom in general is terrible excuse is more of an excuse just to say, it's not individual people's fault, it's the culture in general, so we no longer need to hold people accountable for the things they do.
I feel like when a lot of people, they want to blame certain, not just fandoms, but like internet culture, they want to just use that as like a be-all end-all way to just swipe up someone's opinion or even just mindset. Like, a lot of them, they like to make fun of seniors because like, hey, there were these people who threatened this artist's life for making skinny portraits of plus-size characters.
Well, I think like the biggest ones was like a white woman black-faced as Garnet. The giant one that everyone kind of knows about.
I think it was mostly like people.
I think that is though generally shitty.
They want to look at examples of that, and they want to see like, oh, that whole entire fan base. I don't like that. I think it's ridiculous to say that. And
someone discussed the hotel in Delaware that like people nuked the Yelp score of because it appeared in Steven Universe.
No, it was just associate. It didn't appear in Steven Universe. It had a similar name to the motel.
It was very clearly like an inspiration for a location, and so people did the clear thing that the internet would do, and they just destroyed their Yelp score. And there is a lot to say about how internet culture creates like a lot of internet tough guys. And then there's people will just go like, I'm behind a keyboard, no consequences, let me do something terrible. But I think that by just giving up and saying, well, it's fans' fault, it's the fandom's fault, is literally saying shitty people should be allowed to get away with this because we can't punish all of them at once, so let's just sit around and moan about how fandoms suck.
Yeah, but that's a problem. It's like fandoms are not babysitters. They're not like, it's not a school.
I mean, one of the issues we have is that fandoms think that they should be gate-kept. And no, we can't gatekeep. Which means, yeah, we shouldn't be saying to like shitty dudes who are like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't fucking play video games because you're a girl. We should say, fuck you. But that also means at the reverse side, we're going to get shitty people. We always, me and you, Eli, we always talk about how we think the gamer identity is such a dumb idea because you should be more than just one identity. And it's kind of like how, like, I think anyone would just be like, there's no one out there who's like, I'm a Steven Universer. It's all I do. It's my entire life. And we're like, well, fucking like something else. Like, You can like Steven Universe and you can like other things. And that's kind of my thing, is this is leading to the idea that people are only one thing. Oh, people called out this person because they're in the Ghostbusters fandom. And it's like, no, I mean, there's a lot of great people in that who like that stuff, but we just lump them all together and say they're all evil because someone's being an asshole about the remake. And I honestly just think
it's an easy way to like dismiss people, because like our brains can store terabytes and terabytes of information. We can do so many things, so many different things. When the more different things we try, like the more well versed we are in the world, and the more we can relate to a lot of people. So this idea, so everyone's interested in just multiple things, because that's how we are. We are complex. We are complex creatures, and just to assume like you are just this one person, therefore everything you say can be dismissed is sort of it's limiting in a way.
No, and I agree, and I think we do.
And I feel like, honestly, I do that to a lot of people. Honestly, I feel like I'm just as guilty for doing that. When I look at someone and they're criticizing, I can't believe this freaking fan base. I'm like, yeah, but you're part of this fan base. Namely bronies. I'm sorry.
As a lot, and like, especially with bronies, like we'll get a laugh or two, like when we see something like hard. Like we're not talking like just like, oh, we disagree with this person, they have a pony as their avatar. We're talking like, I think recently we found that like hardcore homophobic speech that guy made, and his avatar was a pony, and we laughed at that, and we were just like, oh, fucking ponies. But like, that's us too, like saying like, oh, this guy is a representative of this entire sect of people, and you know what? I feel bad that we do that, and I think that's something a lot of people need to grow up on. Mm-hmm. But
I got a story to tell. Like, I know a friend of mine. I'm not gonna say names, but like, he is. I'm not
gonna save his name. Eric Felcher, who lives on 74 Westbrook. I'm not gonna say your name though.
What did the rules of Eric Felcher living on 72 at Wellsbrook?
Well, that's good, because I said Westbrook.
Oh, good. All right. So I got a friend, right, and he's a brony. And one time he called me, and he said, like, hey, there is this article about, like, this brony who was arrested for owning child pornography. And
wow.
My sisters, they kept laughing about, oh, those fucking ponies, there's like, there's the fucking bronies, and like, they're all disgusting, and then they'll turn to me, and they're like, oh, but no, not all of them, you're fine, you're the one of the good ones, and it really bothers me to see people just dismiss all these bronies, because we're just as, we're all different, and we all like things, and we do these sort of charities. And then he immediately says, it's not like we're furries or anything. And I'm like, hold up a minute. You can't complain about like how people are picking on your fandom and suddenly immediately turning on some other fandom, I guess? I don't know what that
I don't know. I really don't know. I guess it's we could call it a fandom. I'm not sure. Because some people treat it as a fetish, some people treat it as like just a thing that they like. Some people treat it as like a kink.
I don't know. I think like when people get upset about like, oh, furries are so creepy. It's like, okay, if the worst is if what they're doing is having sex with each other in fursuits, what's the problem? Like
I think it's good that we're coming up front and being like, we have this issue too, because I think that's very necessary, is to acknowledge your own fault in this. But I feel like it's a crutch to not have to have a better conversation about when it's something benign, like, because I'm not trying to say like, because people go like, well, does that mean that there's good Nazis? And it's like, okay, let's take this back a little, because it's like the conversation about this is about.
Well,
shit
there
like,
were good Nazis. No,
the thing about this is like it's about benign shit like Steven Universe, Ghostbusters, like My Little Pony, stuff that is fucking benign at its very creation that some people will twist and warp into a thing to fight over. But we shouldn't let everyone who likes that become like a target for that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting though, because coming from like a Tumblr perspective, there's a lot of generalizations to like other fandoms and like
there's a lot of generalizations about Tumblr itself, which is like, it's a fucking blog site.
I mean as far as, like, especially with the Steven Universe fandom, like, a lot of people weren't really openly expressing that they liked Steven Universe because of the behavior of the Steven Universe fandom.
Yeah, and I see that all the time when people are like, oh man, the new Steven Universe was really great, but I don't want to be part of those fans. And it's just like, fuck it, you're a fucking fan.
You know what's interesting is, like, the internet is large enough where you don't have to be associated with, like, assholes. Like, you can still like something without having to...
Yeah, no, I would totally go out and say, like, I'm a pretty big fan of Steven Universe. I'm a big fan of stuff like Ghostbusters.
How dare you?
I don't associate with people who act like an asshole because of that.
I feel
like
they associate, like, the Steven Universe fandom just, like, with the Tumblr fandom, which can be a little extreme. Because the thing with Tumblr sometimes...
Tumblr has a little bit...
Tumblr
has a little bit of a toxicity
problem. Like, the thing with Tumblr sometimes with us or against is, like, us. There could be one asshole that turns all these other, like, probably decent people into assholes. You know? Like, just by, like, them following this person, or... Like, it just takes one person, like, one especially big person in a fandom to be, like, an asshole. For all these people. That's another problem. But that's, like, strictly Tumblr's issue. Probably other sites, but...
That's also something that happens with, like, YouTube as well. Like, you have someone who can... It's so easy to acquire a fan base or an audience now. It's way easier than it's ever been. And so that includes, like, assholes who attract a large number of people. And when you have assholes in part of a fandom, there's going to have these people going like, oh, well, I can't be part of this family because this is the biggest asshole and he's popular in it.
Yeah, it's just like, just fucking like the shit you like. And if you don't want to associate with, like, large groups of people who like it, then just fucking don't. But, like, I hate this, like... Oh, well, we're better than them. Oh, we're better than, it's just, like, I really do hate just the idea of, to round it all out, I feel that it's a very easy way for people to disassociate and go, I'm one of the better Ghostbusters fans, because I'm not like them.
Well, it was a huge part of my childhood.
And I'm not trying to, like, associate any ideas of, like, virtue signaling, because I don't feel that these people are virtue signaling. I feel that, like, they're just giving up the idea of the responsibilities of the individual to just have to blame everyone and go, like everyone likes to say, oh, gaming is broken. And it's like, no. I think one of the big things is just we're at a point with technology where we're surrounded by people. Like, we have never been in contact with this many people at once. Like, 10 years ago, you had maybe a circle of people who could interact with you that was maybe a couple of hundred people in your near vicinity, to now hundreds of millions of possible interactions based on the internet. And so, yeah, there's going to be some negative from that, especially when the internet has very little consequence. But, I mean, you can't just say, oh, it's not this person's fault, it's the fault of the culture in general, because I feel like that's lazy rational. Like a lazy rationalization.
Culture.
Just to say, like,
so you think about it, it's like, culture. No one is stuck to entirely one culture. Yeah, everyone has different types of culture that they come in contact with on a daily basis, especially on an internet age. So you can associate yourself with so many different types of people and so many different types of mindsets that it's ridiculous to be like, oh, this one culture, this person comes from one culture, especially one internet culture. It doesn't make sense.
And I think a lot of it is like. I feel like 99% of Ghostbusters fans, 99% of Steven Universe fans, 99% of My Little Pony fans don't go online, don't post shit, and of that, like, 1% that do, and it's probably more, it's probably like 10%, but of that percentage that do, it's even a smaller fraction, but it's because they're so because they're such assholes. They poison the well. And I feel the issue is, I just see so many people going like, well, the well is poisoned, time to blow our brains out and say society sucks, fuck gaming, gaming was a mistake, like that thing Miyazaki said. And it's just like, no, it's just like, it's an issue that should be addressed and resolved and looked into, and it doesn't mean that they go away, because there's no way you're going to get every asshole to stop being an asshole.
Yeah,
There's
especially
always,
on the internet.
it's something that Jon Stewart once said about, like, you know, like terrorists, where it's like assholes with guns or assholes with keyboards are always going to find a way to hurt someone because it's all they know how to do. But you know, what's harder is not trying to let that turn your worldview into what they want it to be. They want you to think that everything's a battlefield. They want you to think that you can't like Ghostbusters without taking a fucking side on a fucking remake that no one gives a shit about.
My whole thing is, like, I just think it's, as far as like Tumblr goes, it seems like a lot of different sites attract different like very like-minded people. So you have like a lot of teenagers on Tumblr, mostly liberal, very like either angry about how they're treated by people, whether like their family or society, and it's kind of like if somebody like
anger is good. Anger is good when you want to go out and like, there's something completely wrong with the world, the way I'm treated. I'm going to get angry about that, and that's good. Unlike, you know, blind anger that isn't like guided in the right way, that's a problem.
Yeah,
and especially when you have something like Wild Wild West through the internet, you're not going to get that guidance, that much guidance, or poor guidance.
Well, I think that's a lot of what Tumblr is. It's a bunch of like, most of it's like angry teenagers that don't really know.
But at the same time, it's like whenever I hear people, a lot of times when I hear like my friends, they like to make Tumblr jokes apropos from everything. I'm like, oh, fucking Tumblr, the safe spaces, and all that. I'm thinking to myself, are you criticizing Tumblr because of the way they talk? A lot of the angry sides talk about social justice and all that. Or are you angry because they want to talk about social justice? Are you angry because they want to talk about this subject and make you aware of it? That's what it comes across.
Eli, take us home, please.
Okay, Christina, what the hell is wrong with you? I mean, where can we find you?
My Twitter and stuff.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well, you should probably put stuff, because you're working on new art things, and you're probably going to want people to see those new magic art things.
They're going to throw money at you.
Or my other stuff, too.
Yeah.
My bugs.
I'm, 1T Bret, at twitter.com, HTTML URL. Use the power of the internet. Use your Oculus Rifts, like in Lawnmower Man, to go inside the internet and fight the evil that is in there. But then you get warped in by Master Computer, and you have to fight fucking Severus Snape.
You can find me on Tumblr and Twitter and YouTube at Base Cliff Eli. Thank you for listening to We Could Be Wrong podcast. Okay,
but the movie kind of sucks. And then tomorrow, and then Tomorrowland's gonna bomb at the movies, and you're just gonna get fucking like canceled. They're gonna have Jared Leto. You're gonna have Jared Leto in your next movie, but like Disney decides to go back.